Welcome back to Stoic Wisdom TV. Today, we're diving into a topic that I think every guy, whether you're single, married, or somewhere in between, needs to hear. We're talking about why you should be cautious in relationships and how Stoic philosophy can guide you through the ups and downs of love and life with wisdom, confidence, and unshakable inner strength. I'm going to walk you through 4 essential Stoic principles that will not only help you navigate relationships, but also transform you into the best version of yourself. These aren't just ideas to listen to and forget, they are lessons you need to apply every single day. If you want to grow into a man who's grounded, self-assured, and in control of his own happiness. Before we get started, let's set the tone with a powerful quote from Aristotle. The only way to avoid criticism is to do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. Think about that for a second. If you're out there living your life, taking risks, and putting yourself out there in relationships or otherwise, you're going to face criticism. It's just part of the deal. But the alternative, as Aristotle points out, is to play it safe, shrink back, and essentially become a nobody. That's not who you are, and that's not who you're meant to be. So, as we go through these lessons, I want you to keep that in mind. Real growth comes from action, even when it's uncomfortable, even when others might judge you for it. I'm also going to share some practical strategies to help you command respect and create a magnetic presence without resorting to manipulation or games. These are tools rooted in Stoic wisdom and human psychology, designed to elevate your self-worth and make you unforgettable in the best way possible. As we go through this, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with these principles? Have you applied Stoic ideas in your own relationships? Drop a comment below and share your experiences. I'm always reading and love hearing from you. Now, let's get into it. Let's start with a hard truth that a lot of guys struggle with. Money can't buy loyalty in a relationship. I know, it's tempting to think that if you just provide whether it's financial support, gifts, or material things, you'll secure a woman's love and faithfulness. But here's the reality. Emotions are unpredictable, and they're what really drive people's actions. No matter how much you give, if someone's heart isn't in it, they'll find a reason to stray. History and experience back this up time and time again. I've seen guys who thought they could buy loyalty with fancy dinners, expensive vacations, or a big house, only to be blindsided when their partner still walked away. Take my friend Ryan, for example. He's a 32-year-old software engineer who was dating a woman for about a year. Ryan made good money, and he loved spoiling his girlfriend, buying her designer bags, taking her on weekend getaways, the works. He thought if he kept providing for her, she'd never have a reason to leave. But over time, he noticed she was becoming more distant. She'd cancel plans last minute, stopped showing affection, and eventually, he found out she'd been seeing someone else. Ryan was crushed. He told me, "I gave her everything. How could she do this?" The truth is, Ryan had fallen into a common trap. He believed that fulfilling her material desires would guarantee her loyalty, but it didn't, because loyalty isn't something you can buy. The Stoics have a lot to say about this. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, wrote, "What we do now echoes in eternity." That's a reminder that our actions should be guided by wisdom, not by illusions like the idea that we can control someone's feelings through external things like money or status. True strength comes from mastering yourself, not from trying to buy someone's affection. Another Stoic, Seneca, put it even more bluntly: no man is free who is not master of himself. If you tie your self-worth to how much you can provide, you're setting yourself up for a life of fear of losing what you have, fear of not being enough, fear of betrayal. That's no way to live. So what's the alternative? If you want to build healthy, lasting relationships, focus on being emotionally strong, independent, and self-assured. Provide for your partner, sure, care for them, support them, but don't fall into the trap of thinking that money or status guarantees loyalty. Instead, build connections based on trust, shared values, and mutual respect. Those are the things that create a solid foundation, not a flashy bank account. The key to peace and security isn't in how much you give, it's in your ability to stand strong, no matter what happens. When you're grounded in yourself, you don't live in fear of losing someone, because you know your worth doesn't depend on their approval. Let's break this down practically. If you're in a relationship right now, Take a step back and ask yourself, are you trying to buy your partner's love with material things? Are you tying your self-worth to how much you can provide? If so, it's time to shift your focus. Start working on your emotional strength, maybe that means setting boundaries, communicating your needs more clearly, or investing in your own personal growth. Build a relationship where both of you value each other for who you are, not what you can give. That's the kind of connection that lasts. Here's another uncomfortable truth. Most people, including women, prioritize their own happiness above yours. Now, I'm not saying this to blame women or to suggest they don't care about their partners, far from it. This is just human nature at its core. We all grow up with this idea that our partner will always put us first, that they'll care about us as deeply as we care about them. But the reality is more complicated. At the end of the day, most people, men and women alike, are wired to focus on their own desires, needs, and satisfaction. And that's not a bad thing, it's just how we're built. This can be a tough pill to swallow, especially if you're the kind of guy who goes above and beyond for your partner. I've seen it so many times, men sacrificing their time, their well-being, even their dreams, just to make their partner happy. They believe that if they give enough new love, enough support, enough effort, they'll earn loyalty and devotion in return. But here's the hard truth. That level of sacrifice isn't always reciprocated. I'm not saying women are selfish or that they don't care. I'm saying that expecting someone else to be the source of your happiness is a recipe for disappointment. Let me tell you about a guy I know named Chris. Chris had been dating his girlfriend, Emily, for 2 years. He was the kind of guy who'd do anything for her, working extra hours to take her on nice trips, always being there to listen when she had a bad day, even putting his own hobbies on hold to spend more time with her. He thought if he just gave enough, she'd love him the way he loved her. But over time, Emily started pulling away. She became more focused on her career, her friends, her own life, and Chris felt like he was being left behind. He'd ask himself, am I not doing enough? Am I not good enough? Eventually, Emily ended the relationship, and Chris was left heartbroken, wondering where he went wrong. The real issue wasn't that Chris wasn't enough, was that he had placed his entire emotional well-being in Emily's hands. He was relying on her to make him feel whole, and when she prioritized her own happiness, as most people do, was left feeling lost. The Stoics would say Chris made a critical mistake. He sought happiness from someone else, instead of finding it within himself. Stoicism teaches that true fulfillment comes from within, not from a relationship, money, or status. If you put your emotional well-being in someone else's hands, you're setting yourself up for heartache when they inevitably focus on their own needs. Think about a time in your own life when you felt let down by someone you trusted deeply, maybe a partner, a friend, or even a family member. You assumed they'd always be there for you, but when it mattered most, their own priorities took precedence. Does that mean they're a bad person? Not at all. It just means that people, at their core, act in their own self-interest. If your happiness depends on someone else's validation, you'll always be trapped in a cycle of unmet expectations. The path to true freedom is self-reliance. So what does this mean for you? It means you need to become your own source of happiness. This doesn't mean shutting yourself off from love or meaningful relationships. It means shifting your mindset. Your self-worth and peace of mind should never be dictated by how someone else treats you. Chris learned this the hard way, but he eventually turned things around. After his breakup with Emily, he started practicing Stoicism. He focused on what he could control: his mindset, his goals, his personal growth. He stopped trying to prove his worth through constant sacrifice, and instead worked on becoming stronger, more independent, and emotionally self-sufficient. As he grew more secure in himself, something amazing happened. His relationships with others, including new romantic partners, became more balanced. He no longer needed someone else's approval to feel good about himself, and that made him more confident, more grounded, and more attractive. Here's the big takeaway. Relying on someone else for your happiness is a losing game. No matter how perfect they seem, no one else can or should be responsible for fulfilling your deepest emotional needs. When you trust someone else to complete you, you put yourself in a vulnerable position, and over time, that erodes your self-worth. But when you become your own source of happiness, strength, and fulfillment, you take back control of your life. True freedom comes from within. And the sooner you embrace that, the stronger and happier you'll be, no matter who comes or goes. Let's make this actionable. Take a moment to reflect. How often do you seek validation from someone else in your relationships? Are you placing too much emotional energy in the wrong places? If so, start small. Spend some time each day doing something that makes you feel good about yourself, maybe. It's hitting the gym, reading a book, or working on a passion project. Build a life where you are the center of your own happiness, and you'll naturally attract the right people, those who support you rather than drain you. Now, let's dive into a topic that might challenge your beliefs, but offers some powerful insights. Why? You should never place blind trust in anyone, no matter how kind or loyal they seem. I know, this might sound harsh at first, but hear me out. This isn't about being pessimistic or cynical. It's about being realistic and guarding your heart, while still staying open to meaningful connections. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, and let go of what we can't, like other people's actions or emotions. And when it comes to relationships, this principle is crucial. Here's the reality. People, including women, are always looking to improve their lives. This could mean their career, their social status, or yes, their romantic partner. It doesn't mean everyone is disloyal or incapable of deep love. It just means that, consciously or subconsciously, we're all evaluating our options. You might be tall, attractive, and financially stable. But what happens if someone comes along who's taller, wealthier, or more emotionally intelligent? Will your partner still see you the same way? The truth is, human nature drives us to seek validation and comparison. And the moment someone finds an option that seems better, they might feel an instinct to move toward it. I've seen this play out in real life more times than I can count. A buddy of mine, James, thought he had the perfect relationship. He and his girlfriend, Lauren, had been together for 3 years, and he was planning to propose. He was a good guy, stable job, good looks, treated her well. But then Lauren started working at a new company and met a guy who was higher up the corporate ladder, more charismatic, and had a bigger social circle. Suddenly, she started pulling away from James, saying she needed space to figure things out. A few months later, she ended the relationship and started dating the new guy. James was devastated. He kept saying, "I thought we were solid. How could this happen?" What James didn't realize is that Lauren, like most people, was evaluating her options. When she found someone who seemed like a better fit for her goals, she made a choice. This isn't about saying women are untrustworthy. It's about understanding human nature. People, by nature, seek what benefits them most, and that's not something you can control. Marcus Aurelius put it perfectly when he said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice." In other words, instead of trying to control external factors like someone's loyalty, focus on becoming the best version of yourself for your own sake, not to win someone over. If you're constantly worried about being the best for your partner, you lose sight of your own path, your own happiness, and your own growth. I've been in relationships where I gave everything, only to find out she was still looking for something more. Maybe she was attracted to someone else, or maybe she just lost interest over time. It felt unfair at the time, but it opened my eyes to a hard truth. Placing all your happiness in someone else's hands is a dangerous game. Relationships should complement your life, not define it. One of the most valuable lessons you can learn is that you cannot control another person's choices, but you can always control your response. If you spend your life trying to be the perfect man for her, you risk losing yourself in the process. Instead, focus on becoming a man of value for yourself. When you do that, the right relationships will naturally follow. This doesn't mean you should be cynical or assume everyone is disloyal. It just means recognizing that people seek what benefits them most, and that's not something you can control. So, the real question is, will you let someone's fleeting affections determine your self-worth? Or will you build a life of strength, peace, and fulfillment, regardless of who comes and goes? The choice is yours. The Stoics never dismissed love, but they did prioritize internal stability and self-reliance. When you focus on what you can control, external fluctuations, whether in relationships or life in general, won't shake your foundation. Instead of asking, "What can I do to make her stay?" ask yourself, "What can I do to become the best version of myself for my own sake?" When you build your life on your own values and principles, you naturally attract people who respect and admire that strength. Here's how to apply this. Start focusing on your own growth. Work on your career, your hobbies, your physical and mental health. Become a man who's so solid in himself that you don't need to worry about someone else's choices. If someone leaves, it's their loss, not a reflection of your worth. And if they stay, it's because they genuinely value you, not because you're trying to be something you're not. The fourth lesson ties into the last one, but takes it a step further. Never trust completely. No matter how sincere or decent someone appears, blind trust can lead to disappointment or worse, manipulation. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." That means your happiness isn't determined by someone else's words or actions, it's determined by how you interpret and respond to them. Trust is important in relationships, but blind trust is dangerous. People, including women, often present the version of themselves that best serves their interests at any given time. This doesn't necessarily make them dishonest, it's just human nature. We all do it to some extent. Think about it. When someone tells you something, they might sound completely genuine, even if there's no real proof behind their words. I've been in situations where a partner told me one thing, but their actions told a different story. Maybe she said she was committed, but then I'd catch her in a questionable situation somewhere she shouldn't have been, or doing something that didn't add up. My instinct was to confront her, but without undeniable proof, it turned into a battle of words. She'd deny it, deflect blame, or explain it away, and I was left wondering if I was overreacting. That's the problem with blind trust. Without evidence, you're relying solely on your own judgment, and that can leave you vulnerable. The Stoics, like Epictetus, warned against attaching your emotions to external events because they're outside your control. In relationships, this means accepting that you can't control what others do. You can control your expectations and reactions. So, how do you protect yourself? Stay vigilant and discerning. Observe actions, not just words. Don't be swayed by external chaos. Stay centered, no matter what happens around you. Trust should be earned, not given freely. Real trust is built on consistent, proven actions, not just charming words. In today's world, with social media, online personas, and the increasing sophistication of deception, it's easier than ever to be fooled. Just because someone appears genuine doesn't mean they are. The Stoics knew that to maintain inner peace, you must not be swayed by superficial appearances. If you want a meaningful relationship built on trust, ensure that trust is earned, not blindly given. This doesn't mean you should shut yourself off from love. It means guarding your heart while staying open to connection. Stay true to your values, remain grounded in Stoic principles, and let your actions, not just your words, define you in every relationship. Let's make this practical. The next time you're in a situation where you're unsure about someone's intentions, take a step back. Look at their actions over time, not just what they say in the moment. Are they consistent? Do their behaviors match their words? If not, don't ignore the red flags. Trust is a choice, and it should be made with wisdom and clarity, not naivety. Now that we've covered the first Stoic lessons, let's talk about how to apply these principles to shift the power dynamic in your relationships and command respect without chasing or begging for attention. There's nothing more undignified than pleading for someone who clearly doesn't value you. When you lower yourself, hoping they'll notice your efforts, you strip away the essence of your Stoic mindset. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be ye one." Yet so many of us get caught up arguing internally about our own worth, questioning whether we've done enough for someone who never deserved that much of us to begin with. Pause and ask yourself, why do you see this person as the center of your world? Who convinced you they were the prize? Why did you sacrifice your self-respect, your pride, and your sense of self for their approval? Here's the hard truth. It wasn't them, it was you. You handed over your value and power without a fight. You turned yourself into an option for someone who never earned the privilege of your effort. Now they see you as a follower, someone easily swayed, a backup plan, an afterthought because you taught them they could treat you that way. It's time to reclaim your power. The Stoic principle here is simple. Own your life and your choices. High-value men, Stoic warriors don't beg, they don't chase. They command respect simply by the way they carry themselves. When you lower yourself, you become a puppet, and they pull the strings. But you have the power to cut those strings. You have the power to say, enough. Nothing is more powerful than making someone feel the absence of your presence. You are not disposable. You are not a filler in someone else's ego-driven narrative. You are a man of value, and that should echo in how you treat yourself and how others perceive you. Starting today, flip the narrative. You will no longer chase. You will no longer sacrifice your dignity. You will no longer give power to someone who hasn't earned it. Instead, they will feel the void you leave behind. They will sense the magnetic pull, the realization of what they've lost. This isn't about playing games, it's about reclaiming your self-worth. Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Sometimes, being a high-value man means letting them think they've won, when in reality, you're winning the long game of self-respect and inner strength. You'll master the art of silent influence, where your absence speaks louder than words. 5 Stoic-inspired strategies to become unforgettable. To help you put these principles into action, I'm going to share 5 Stoic-inspired strategies to elevate your presence and make you unforgettable to resorting to manipulation. These are tools, not tricks, designed to help you command attention effortlessly and draw others in without force or desperation. Let's dive in. The first strategy is what I call selective vulnerability. This is about creating a deep sense of connection while maintaining an air of mystery. Instead of oversharing or unloading your life story, share with intention. Picture this: you reveal a meaningful story from your past, something that shaped you, something that carries emotional depth, but you keep it tightly controlled. You offer just enough for them to feel like they're being led into a sacred part of your world, but you leave the rest hidden beneath the surface. I remember doing this with a woman I was dating a few years back. We were having a deep conversation one night, and I shared a story about how I struggled with self-doubt in my early 20s. After failing at a business venture, I told her how that experience taught me resilience and shaped who I am today. I didn't go into every detail, kept it concise, authentic, and left some things unsaid. She looked at me with this sense of awe, like she'd just seen a side of me no one else had. That moment stuck with her. Weeks later, she brought it up, saying, I keep thinking about what you said that night. It made me feel so close to you. That's the power of selective vulnerability. It creates a connection, but the mystery keeps them intrigued. Marcus Aurelius said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When you share selectively, you plant seeds in their mind, moments they'll replay, mental images of you that linger. They start to associate you with trust and familiarity, even if you've only revealed a small fraction of who you are. The key is balance. Be open enough to create closeness, but reserved enough to remain a mystery. That's what makes you unforgettable. The second strategy is strategic withdrawal, using your absence to make your presence felt. There's an old saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder, and it's true. In a world where everyone is constantly available, the ability to pull back and create space is one of the most powerful moves you can make. This isn't about ghosting or playing games, it's a declaration of self-worth. For too long, you might have been the one waiting, hoping, overextending your attention to someone who treats you like an afterthought. That ends now. High-value individuals who embrace a Stoic mindset understand the importance of self-respect. Imagine a room filled with constant background music. You barely notice it because it's always there. But the moment the music stops, the silence is startling. That's the effect of withdrawing your presence. When you stop initiating conversations, when you step back and reclaim your space, it leaves a void they can't ignore. At first, they might not notice, but over time, that absence starts to echo in their mind. Every unanswered message, every quiet moment, it plants a seed of curiosity, of longing. Human nature is wired to notice what's missing, and your silence creates tension that demands their attention. Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. This isn't about seeking validation, it's about honoring your worth. When you're always available, you become predictable, assumed, taken for granted. But the moment you pull back, you break their sense of certainty. They start replaying old conversations, wondering why you aren't reaching out, questioning what changed. That mental loop keeps you on their mind. I used this strategy after a breakup a few years ago. I'd been the one constantly reaching out, trying to fix things, but it only pushed her further away. So I decided to step back completely. No texts, no calls, no social media interaction. I focused on myself, my goals, my growth. A few weeks later, she reached out, saying she missed me and wanted to talk. My absence made her realize my value in a way my presence never could. This isn't about manipulation, it's about self-respect. Your presence is a privilege, not something to be taken lightly. You are not an option, you are the standard. The third strategy is about tapping into a fundamental human instinct, competition. This isn't about petty jealousy or childish games, it's about positioning yourself as someone whose attention is valuable, someone worth winning over. People don't value what comes too easily. When they sense that your admiration isn't guaranteed, something shifts. They start to wonder. They start to desire. They start to strategize ways to stand out to you. Here's how to do this subtly, in casual conversation. Mention a time someone recognized your value, not to make them jealous, but to paint a picture of someone who is consistently appreciated. For example, you might say, "A friend of mine told me the other day that they really admire how I stay calm under pressure. It made me realize how much people notice those little things." It's nonchalant, but it plants a thought in their mind. Are they noticing those qualities in you? Are they doing enough to stand out in your world? That's the psychology of scarcity and value at play. People are wired to want what others appreciate, and when they sense that others see your worth, they feel the urge to secure their place in your life. I saw this work with a friend of mine, Dave. He was dating a woman who was starting to take him for granted, always canceling plans, not putting in much effort. One day, he casually mentioned that a co-worker had complimented his sense of humor and how much she enjoyed working with him. He didn't make a big deal out of it, but it shifted something. His girlfriend suddenly started paying more attention, making more effort to spend time with him. Was it a coincidence? Not at all. It was the power of perceived competition. Stoicism isn't about sitting back and waiting for people to acknowledge your worth. It's about knowing your value and subtly amplifying what makes you magnetic. The fourth strategy is the push and pull technique, a psychological framework that creates desire by keeping you both elusive and desirable. Think of it as a dance, a rhythm of connection and detachment. The push is when you give someone your undivided attention, you're warm, present, and make them feel like the center of your universe. It creates an intense moment of connection, and they feel valued. But then comes the pull. You take a step back, become less available, stop initiating conversations, reply slower, or create some space. The sudden change ignites a longing, a craving for the connection they felt slipping away. People always desire what's just out of reach. When you combine push and pull, you trigger a deep psychological need for validation and consistency. The unpredictability of your attention keeps them intrigued, constantly wondering when they'll have your full presence again. In a world of instant gratification, standing out means resisting the urge to always be available. When they know they can always have you, the value of your time diminishes. But by practicing push and pull, you're sending the message that your attention is earned, not given lightly. I used this technique when I started dating someone new. At first, I'd be fully present, greet conversations, lots of laughter, making her feel special. But then I'd pull back a bit a day or two to reply, focus on my own projects, let her wonder what I was up to. It wasn't about playing games, it was about showing that I had my own life, my own priorities. She started reaching out more, making more effort to connect, because my attention wasn't guaranteed. Stoicism teaches balance, and that's how you should use this method wisely, with fairness and respect. When you're always available, you're like an open book. But by stepping back now and then, you create mystery, and people will start valuing your presence more. The final strategy is one of the most powerful Stoic tools for elevating your worth: limited access. This plays on a fundamental truth of human nature. People value what they can't have on demand. In an age of instant gratification, being less available can make you all the more attractive. How many times have you wanted something simply because it felt just out of reach? By embracing this principle, you create a sense of exclusivity around your presence. If you're always available, your time can seem cheap, and people may take it for granted. But when you limit your availability, Every interaction becomes more meaningful, like a rare gift they need to earn. This doesn't mean ghosting or playing hard to get in a manipulative way. It means being intentional about your energy and time. For example, if someone calls you, don't pick up right away. Let the call go to voicemail while you finish what you're doing. If they message you, don't rush to reply with a long message. Take your time. This shows them that your world doesn't revolve around them, that you have your own commitments, priorities, and path to follow. You're communicating that your attention is a valuable commodity, and people should feel grateful to receive it. Think about a busy entrepreneur who's highly respected. They're not the type to drop everything for anyone at a moment's notice. Their time is precious, and everyone knows it. When they finally make time for a meeting, their clients hang on to every word and value every second of that conversation. Why? Because the entrepreneur's limited access has created a reputation of importance and exclusivity. Now, think about your own relationships. Are you giving away your time to everyone freely, or are you reserving it for the most meaningful interactions? Embrace your own worth. By being more selective with where you direct your attention, you create an aura of mystery that keeps people intrigued. Here's an affirmation to internalize. I am worth the wait. Write it down. Put it somewhere visible, or drop it in the comments to remind yourself that your worth doesn't fade. Just because you're not always there to respond right away, if anything, it increases. Would you value a rare treasure if you had access to it every single day without any effort? Probably not. It's the anticipation, the effort, and the patience that make it meaningful. By mastering the art of limited access, you're not playing games, you are setting a standard for how you deserve to be treated. Let's wrap this up. We've covered a lot today for Stoic lessons to help you navigate relationships with wisdom and caution, and 5 strategies to command respect and create a magnetic presence. To recap, money can't buy loyalty. So build relationships on trust and mutual respect. Don't rely on others for your happiness. Find it within yourself. Be realistic about trust, knowing that people are always evaluating their options. And never trust blindly. Let trust be earned through consistent actions, not just words. Then, use strategies like selective vulnerability, strategic withdrawal, subtle competition, push and pull, and limited access to elevate your worth and make your presence unforgettable. These lessons and strategies aren't about manipulation, they're about understanding human behavior and using it to elevate yourself. At its core, Stoicism is about empowering you to master your life, stand tall, and never settle for less than you deserve. When you live with Stoic principles, you build a life of strength, peace, and fulfillment, regardless of who comes or goes. You become a man who knows his worth and lives with unshakable confidence. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What's your favorite Stoic lesson or strategy from today? How are you stepping into your power? Drop a comment below. I'm always reading and love hearing from you. And if you found value in this, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more Stoic life lessons. Let's build a community of high-value individuals who know their worth and live with purpose. Until next time, stay strong, stay wise, and remember, your presence should be felt, not just seen. Keep growing, keep embracing your inner strength. This is your journey to self-mastery. If this message resonates with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that will help you create the life you truly deserve. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.